Hello, I'm Meghan Ratto, and I chose to do stonemasonry for my cross-gender leisure activity. I built a patio out of pavers. Stonemasonry has been around for over 6,000 years. It is considered one of the earliest trades. Many places of historical interest were built using stonemasonry, such as the Taj Mahal, the Great Wall of China. During the 14th century, stonemasons became much more artistic in their work. Women did not participate in stonemasonry. There was only one that was actually accepted, and that was during the Middle Ages. Her name was Sabina von Steinbach. She learned the trade from her father, and she was very, very artistic. Stonemasonry is a lot of hard work. There's a lot of heavy lifting. It's intense physical labor. Stones were typically carved by hand. Certain structures needed extra support, and it had to stay there until the keystone was placed for it to support itself without the extra support. And with cathedral building, they would have to climb scaffolding, and other masons would check their work, and one gentleman actually even fell and paralyzed himself in the 1700s. So it is